right, my friends. Thank you for tuning in our podcast of Eagle Tech Talks. We're very happy to do this podcast with Irina Lysenko. And we are so excited, Irina, to have you in the program. Irina, for those that don't know her, she actually is an expert in digital transformation. She also do a lot of work with AI software development. So we're going to be talking a lot about the positioning of AI for small businesses and medium businesses. So I mean, enough for me talking. Irina, how you doing?
I'm fine. Hi, Eduard. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me, and thanks for the warm introduction.
All right. So we were discussing off camera, but first of all, that a lot of people is taking a look at AI. Everybody's using ChatGPT, everybody's using Copilot, Gemini, and sometimes I'm not saying every time, but sometimes we see people that now they think because they can ask ChatGPT anything, they're experts. And they're like, oh yeah, I'm an expert in AI. I got Gemini. I know how to do a prompt, write me an email, and now they are AI experts. And there are people that are trying to explore with AI agents as well. And then we have a company, Anadea, the one that you have been working. That's a company that is started in Ukraine and then moved to Spain. So I mean that is a big change, and it's one of the advantages of having a software company that you don't have to move all your machinery or anything. You can move all your brain, and people can still work remotely. I imagine that is a lot of people in your company that is doing development of AI software, but they're working all over the world. So in that picture, how or when do you think a small or medium business needs a company like Adina to help them, an idea to help them with developers? I mean, with the AI development.
Very interesting question. Yeah, and I see a lot of different cases at my daily work, let's say. Just want to address like this there is a big shift in outsourcing with AI, let's say. So now vibe coding is everywhere. You always hear this word agents, lovable AI copilots. You see solo founders building an MVP over weekend, right? So
Yeah.
it's everywhere. It's everywhere. And it's beautiful. It's probably the most interesting moment in history for early stage startups, for ideation, for validation of idea, yeah, for building a proof of concept, let's say, right? I love this phrase by Kent Beck, who said, like, make it work, make it right, and make it fast. So make it work is what AI is doing now.
Yeah.
So with a tool like Lovable or with AI Copilot, you can just create an app overnight and see how it works. But the interesting thing about this is wipe coding products work until they don't, and they stop working basically when the product faces the real life, the real users, the real data, normally sensitive data, right? Real responsibility, and basically that's probably a stage when founders come to the companies like us, consulting, outsourcing companies, because they need to scale and they need to make the product they developed robust, yeah, and maintainable, let's say.
So when you say a scale, so let's do an example. If I am starting with an agent that help my customers, I created an agent in ChatGPT and I put that agent in my website, for example, and I train the agent to answer questions about my business. And I put that chat bot there. At what point do you think it will be ideal for me to start thinking about hiring an outsourced company that will actually start getting into the coding and to make it to scale that bot or to scale the services that I do with the AI? What products have you seen the companies are requested to your company?
Well, I mean, if we talk about like a simple FAQ bot,
Hmm.
maybe this will be just only your effort and you won't ever need any consultant. Because if the bot is trained only to answer some questions regarding your services or something like that, and you basically made sure that it doesn't hallucinate and provides the correct information, probably that's it. The interesting story starts when a bot or an agent already needs to perform an action, or maybe needs to look at some sensitive information. And then, I mean, this is all about security, probably, you know, way better what I'm talking about when I talk about security in internet and all this kind of stuff. But I mean, it will depend on the complexity of the system which with the bot interacts, what data it interacts with, what actions it should or should not perform. So we always need to basically understand the process, we understand the limits, let's say, and understand the responsibility that underlies the actions of any bot, let's say.
Yeah, but I mean, in that regard, if I need the bot to do more complex tasks, we have to actually get developers because the coding process might get a little bit more complex. But you mentioned something very important that medium and small businesses sometimes they actually don't really pay attention to, which is security, is privacy. So you're putting things in these platforms and you're not really taking privacy and security in consideration. How do I, as a startup company or a medium business, make sure that a company that I'm hiring to do AI is doing it correctly? I mean, what questions should I be asking? What would be the right conversation that I have to ask companies to make sure that these are not going to put my data in risk? Because if I hire a company right now, outsource a company to do an application, how do I know that they are not exposing with AI my data to my competitors, for example? That would be one case. Back in the day, if I hire a developer to program something in my office, I have my servers here in my office. I get the developer here, and I know my data is here. But now data is in the cloud, is everywhere, and now the AI engines can actually access the data if you give them access. And then there is that fear that what happened with my data if the developer do not do a good job? What questions or what standards or certifications or frameworks should I expect companies to have?
Well, good question. Of course, first of all, you need to understand the experience of the company and similar cases a company will had in the past, let's say. But I mean, as a consultant, consultants, we always ask questions to the customer more than customers ask us, so let's say. And yeah, you mentioned this interesting case that, well, pretty often people mention it, like on-premise and cloud infrastructure for the AI. I mean, we normally say, no, I mean, this is a myth that your data is jeopardized, let's say, if it's in a cloud, because there are huge companies like Amazon, Google, you name it, yeah, who basically provide this cloud service for hosting AI models and data. And if you're already operating within Microsoft environment, you shouldn't be afraid of Amazon Cloud or Google Cloud or whatever. So basically, this is one thing, but always if the customer is really cautious about this, we always can offer on-premise models hosting, because there are a lot of open weights, open models, open source models that could be run on premise as well. So normally the company that is a reliable partner in this respect, they understand what infrastructure should be depending on the data and the level of security required. They should have DevOps, MLOps available with a certification with different clouds, with their experience in running infrastructure on-prem as well, if the customer requires that. And of course, AI machine learning developers, backend developers who make sure that the whole process is run smoothly and securely, basically.
So we talked about a lot of concepts, I would say, in some business owners or some CFOs and companies probably do not understand all the terminology that we're discussing here. So for them, if you were to engage in a conversation with them and they say, Irina, I'm lost. I don't know where to start. I know we have to do AI. My competitors are doing AI, and I am not doing it. I'm just using ChatGPT to write emails, and he writes beautiful emails, but I don't know anything else. I need to step up my game. What products or what applications, in your experience, are the most commons that companies are asking? For example, in your company, what type of AI engagement? Because sometimes we are in this race as a medium and medium small companies, that we know that people are doing AI. We don't know what they're doing in AI. We know that they're doing something, and I want to do something, but I don't know how to do it. And I don't know where should I start. So what would be your recommendation there if you were to help them out?
Well, first recommendation, not necessarily you need AI if you just want it. I mean, it's a different case whether you need it or not. A lot of things could be automated without AI. If you talk about robotic process automation, integration of different workflows and systems. So when a non-technical person comes to us, to me, I just trying to understand what pain or what task this person is trying to solve, basically. And then we start playing from there, right? So we asking questions, we trying to understand the level of digitization, let's say, that is in place, because a lot of times the company is like very digitized. They have different systems, CRM, CRPs, invoice processing, emails, I don't know, you name it, a huge amount of systems that don't talk to each other. And there is still a human responsibility to take information from one system, put it into another, copy paste, and make some notifications to the colleagues and so on and so forth. This is one scenario. Another scenario, when you have an Excel, emails, huge amount of incoming information, a lot of
Mhm.
people responsible to check it or do something with it. And of course, what I ask normally is, first of all, where you spend most of the time during your workday, then what process is the most repetitive process in the company, and what process is the most prone to errors, let's say. This is my three favorite questions. And getting the answers to those questions, I can understand what we can automate, how we can digitize and something. And then once this is in place, we can think about AI. Because of course it's good. Now it's good to structuring the unstructured, let's say, but it still AI requires clear workflows, clear processes and boundaries to these processes. And I mean, yeah.
No, no, it is important that you mentioned, and I couldn't agree more with you that companies that want to use AI for the sake of using AI is not a good thing. But you mentioned also automation, and a lot of people confuse automation with AI. And people thinking, no, no, what I need is AI, and they don't need AI, they need just automation.
That's right.
And I know that your background also in digital transformation, you help companies from a non-digital state to actually digitalize most of their documentation, most of their processes, and then after the digitalization happen, that's when you start seeing now you can automate. Now you can add AI if you want to. How hard it is for a company to understand how much I'm digitalized or not? Because let's say that I am a law firm
Yeah.
and I need to know I'm a head of the company, and I think we are digitalized, but maybe we're not. So what do you think it will be the first spec? Where are we in digitalization, and then after that, how do we understand automation?
Yeah, my favorite example is law firms. Somehow it's like, a very significant part of our clients. It's small and medium-sized legal service companies. Very good question. Well, again, I would, start with these three questions first. So how much time manual work now takes during your workday, right? How many people are engaged in in certain process? Are there many errors? Human errors, right? But I mean, when it comes to automation, first you need to understand whether the process is always determinant, let's say linear, and it always goes step by step. So there is no uncertainty about this process. I don't know, you have an incoming email, The AI reads this email, put the necessary extracts necessary information from that email, puts it into your CRM with I don't know, like issue some notification to a responsible person to make an action or something like that. Basically, this is a very, very clear automation process that doesn't require any AI, but I just plays a small part in it when it's in this case it reads an email and extracts necessary data and understands what is written in this email. And regarding the level of digitalization that the business requires, I mean, it's always a gradual process from my experience. Let's say normally it always starts with some issue that the owner wants to solve, basically, and it all starts with one task, with a small pilot when we are solving an exact pain. For example, one of the recent cases with law firms had this mid-size legal service company that serves clients with disability claims. So
Okay.
every attorney, before AI, let's say, every attorney should have went through a lot of medical records in PDFs, hundreds of pages sometimes with diagnosis, timelines, some terminology, so on and so forth. And there was manual process of checking the medical case, basically, and understanding whether this case could be processed by this law firm. And what the first request was just to somehow enhance this process with AI. And the first step for us was to basically let AI to read the document, to summarize it, to extract the necessary data, and basically provide a dashboard to attorney to go through and make a decision whether we take this case or not. And from basically 60 per one case, we reduce the time of processing this case to a couple of minutes for attorney with no errors, basically. And then when they just saw the magic of AI, the beauty of it, they will start asking us, we're now operating with a lot of systems, with third-party agencies, with governmental agencies, and people manually request some information and so on and so forth. Can we automate that? And that was, a series of interviews with clients' employees to understand how they work manually, and then trying to automate piece by piece each part of the workflow, let's say.
And in these companies, you guys work only in Spain, or you work internationally?
Globally. We work
Glo-
globally. We almost don't have clients in Spain somehow, but half of our clients are in the US.
Okay, yeah. Well, here we are hungry for AI. Everybody is an application. That's something that everywhere you go, you will see AI
Buzzword.
word. Yeah, that's a buzzword nowadays, and that's why we're talking about it, because we want to make sure that our clients, we want to make sure that everybody that watch this podcast is aware that AI is a great tool, but it's like you mentioned, you might not need it yet. You might need just digitalize. You might just need automation, because AI, it should be more engaging in making decisions and actually doing stuff for you that you don't actually need to do it manually. A lot of people is afraid, is the AI going to replace people? And I don't. I always said in the presentations, it depends. I mean,
People
if you
hate
don't.
this answer normally.
Yeah, well, it depends. If you don't grow knowledge, if you don't know how to use AI in your advantage, you might be replaced. That is a reality that, I mean, nobody wants to say, but the reality is, you either get on board with the AI and use it in your advantage, and be better in the areas that you're not better, or it will end up replacing you, or they will replace you with someone that knows how to use it. So it's not necessarily AI replacing you, but it's replacing the person who is not actually getting on board with the AI. And I see in Europe, we don't have a strong footprint yet. We have a big partner that is Proactiva Net, and off camera we talk a little bit about them. They are in the forefront of using AI to actually do asset management and cybersecurity as well. When we are, and they are actually trying to get a big representation in the U.S. market, and we are excited about Proactive and Ed actually making a big presence here in the U.S. But one thing that always strike me is cybersecurity and AI. They go hand in hand because AI is so dangerous if you don't check it, if you let it do things in your organization. How do you guys present cybersecurity to your clients? Do people care? First of all, do you interact with a lot of companies? When you talk to them, are they concerned about security at all? Or some people is just so eager about the AI that they don't think about cybersecurity?
Well, it could be both, actually. It always depends on the maturity level of the business and of the founder, of course, and how much time he spent basically to understand for himself or herself what AI is about and what could be the pitfalls related to it. And of course, again, as like I already mentioned in the beginning of our conversation, that outsourcing is evolving and is evolving from mere providing just a low value code to consultancy to business first, technology second. When we try to understand the goal and then try to consult a client on all the sides of the technology we are trying to implement there. And of course, if the client does not mention anything related to security, this is for us to ask about these questions, of course. We always trying to understand which data will be involved, who will be manage this data, what level of access to any data inside the company should be granted to any person, right? So it's not always, some risks out there. Sometimes there is some confidential information within the organization, right? So
Yeah.
there are many aspects to it, and of course, I mean, we're covering all of them.
What examples in the new crown of outsourcing? What examples can you do for our audience? Tools that will help them digitalize process. Can you give some light examples?
Well, as a custom outsourcing company, normally we do not use product or off the shelf product for our clients. Normally they come to us after they used something
After they use-
and they hit the wall at some point. Yeah, and they need, to progress further. But what I see normally now, people come to us after creating something in Lovable, because this is already like you don't need to be a technical person at all with such tools. You just need to understand your workflow very good and be able to explain it to the AI. So the Lovable does the work basically. Some more tech savvy people, they use Cursor or other types of AI copilots. Just don't want to, bring a lot of names. I mean, you can Google it, you can chat GPT it, and everything will be there. I mean, there are plenty of them. They are more or less the same in price, in abilities now. So yeah, some very basic automation could be made with Make or NA10 products. Maybe you heard about them. But normally if we talk about comprehensive automation of a particular business, which every businesses, have their own things, in particular. It's normally a custom automation with using of different tools, integrations, APIs, made it workflows, so on and so forth. It's a combination, and we are like experts. We just pick the right instrument, to solve the task.
Awesome. And gearing more into a personal, how Irina end up doing AI and doing digital transformation? Why prompt you to come this route?
I don't know. This is life, I've started my career in corporate banking, doing a lot of things manually. Back then in 2011 or 12, I did basically all the customer checks, compliance checks manually. We just had, some access to some databases over the world. And then the whole thing was done and monitored, and it was all manual work. And now when I talk to businesses from financial sector to banks, to my ex-colleagues who continue this path in corporate banking, it's fascinating how everything changed, how much more work is done by AI And already now AI is making decisions in a lot of things, in a lot of cases. But still, relating to your point about it depends whether AI will replace you or not, I'm more positive. And talking to clients, I'm saying it will augment you. So with the same team that you have now, you will do 3 times more work, let's say, that you've done before. And still, in majority of cases, of course, AI is to provide insights and replace some manual work, but decision making and responsibility will be always on human. I hope. I hope. And yeah, personally, then I just, yeah, after corporate banking, somehow I just switched to
Just
IT,
switch.
and then, yeah, to IT. And then it just was gradual. Well, but if you're in IT and software development industry, AI just disrupted it. And if you don't go with AI hand in hand, you just, yeah, out of market. So basically it
Out
was
of the
like
market.
that.
Yeah. So, how was the transition? Were you with the company when they moved from Ukraine to Spain?
No, I joined the company in 2017 and the company moved to Spain in 2014. So first,
2014.
yeah, first years I worked remotely from Ukraine for this company
Ah, okay,
and
and
then
then
moved to
eventually you move.
Alicante. Yeah.
All right, so I guess the transition. Are you learning some Spanish?
Yes, I'm at C1 level. So podemos hablar en español.
All right. Well, good.
Not today.
But well, thank you very much for your time and to share the knowledge that you have. We probably will have another one in the future to discuss more into how to help a company to digitalize when they have everything in paper and manual. Because believe it or not, there's still some companies that have a lot of paper work and they don't have anything in a digital format. And those companies have a long way to go to actually automation and AI and to be able to compete in this work. Just like you said, AI augment the capacity that you are able to do, and at the same time it's a bigger gap with people that don't know how to use it because they're relying on the resources they have always relying on, and they don't take advantage of what other people are taking advantage. So yeah, it's a very interesting topic. Thank you very much, Arena, and
Thank you.
we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye bye.
You too.